What's up, YouTube? Today we're gonna watch a video on Dele Alli. Let me talk!
Let me talk! Let me talk! Come on! Let me talk!
Let me talk! No, I'm just kidding. Now is the time to talk. Interview with the snake, Gary Neville.
Okay, give some context on what this is about, Anthony, because I haven't heard of this.
3 days ago, 4 days ago, of him coming out and talking about what's been going on with his life, what he feels, and how he wants to do this video to help other people. It's about mental health.
Today we're going to interview Dele Alli. I worked with Dele whilst I was with England as a coach. I absolutely loved him when he was with England. He was playing under Mauricio Pochettino at Spurs, just in that number 10 role, wasn't it? Running forward, always joining Harry Kane. I just thought it was the real deal. You know, it was almost like a modern day Brian Robson, modern day Roy Keane in terms of a box-to-box midfield player. But it has no doubt changed since 2018-19. In the last few years, Dele's, obviously from a football perspective, got nowhere near the levels that he was playing at back in that sort of mid-2015-16 season. So, we want to know why that is. I'm concerned about him because when I see someone drop off like he has, from the ability that he has, then you always think what's going on in the lad's life. There's been a blip, and I have to say there's a fascination with him still, I think. People want to ask that question, what's happened, Dele? Are you okay? Dele and his team have reached out in this last few days to say that it is the right time now to speak, and we're obviously delighted to bring him in today to talk about it. It'll be a very different type of overlap. Obviously everybody's asked that question in the last 12 to 18 months, what's happened with Dele, and today we're going to find out.
Bruh. You don't need to know how old I am.
Dele,
It's
welcome to the
copyright right
overlap.
there.
Obviously, I worked with you in 2015-16 with England, and obviously seen what's happened in the last 12 to 18 months, the way in which your football's gone. First question is, are you okay?
Yeah, I think it's a question I've definitely been asked a lot. But I think this is probably the first time in a long time that I can say yeah, and mean it. I think mentally I'm probably in the best place I've ever been. And yeah, I feel good. Obviously injured at the minute, but football, I've got that passion back for football. I mean, yeah, so I'm doing really well.
Just tell us what's been happening with you in the last sort of 6 to 12 months. You say you're feeling good now, but obviously it means that you weren't feeling well at a certain point.
Yeah, I think now's probably the right time for me to tell people what's been going on. It's tough to talk about it because it's quite recent, and it's something I've kind of hid for a long time, and I'm scared to talk about it, but I think it's the right thing to do. So when I come back from Turkey,
Like it's ready to talk about it, but doesn't know. I just think with interviews like this, sometimes people always rush to speak. Sometimes you need more than that. He said it's recent. He feels good right now. And then an example would be there was Demi Lovato going through like all this phase, and then all of a sudden there's like a whole show already talking about her mental breakdown and things like that. Don't you just need more than a year to like fully process what you just been through? It's coming from him, so I'm assuming he is.
Hopefully it's not pressure or anything, but hopefully this is what he wants to do.
This is gonna be my second time watching this video. So to me, my first time watching it, he says he's ready, but throughout the video, it didn't look like he's ready. It looked like it was kind of too soon.
I
But
mean, even just the beginnings, the way it started, I was just like, all of those signs are already signs that you're not ready.
I came in and I found out I needed an operation, and I was in a bad place, mentally, and yeah, I decided to go to like a modern day rehab facility for mental health. They deal with like addiction, mental health, and trauma, because it was something that I felt like it was time for me. I think with things like that, you can't be told to go there. I think you have to know and you have to make the decision yourself, else it's not going to work. And yeah, to be honest, I was caught in a bad cycle. I was relying on things that were doing me harm. And yeah, I think I was waking up every day and I was winning the fight, going into training, smiling, showing that I was happy. but inside I was definitely, losing the battle, and it was time for me to change it, because when I got injured and they told me I needed surgery, I could feel the feelings I had when the cycle begins, and I didn't want it to happen anymore. So I went there. I went there for 6 weeks, and Everton were amazing about it. They supported me 100%, and I'll be grateful for them forever. I think whatever happens in the future, I think for them to be so open and honest and understanding, I think I couldn't have asked for anything more in that time when, I was probably making the biggest decision of my life. Something I was scared to do, I think. But I'm happy I done it, and to be honest, I couldn't have expected it to go the way it did. I think before, you hear about it, it has this whole stigma around it, and it's something people don't want to do. Going into rehab, this definitely sounds scary, but yeah, I could never have imagined how much I'd get from it and how much it would help me mentally, because I was in a bad place. I think, a lot happened when I was younger that I could never understand, I could never figure out, and I was doing stupid things that I blame myself for. But really going there and learning about it, it was never really in my control. Understanding it and learning, and it's helped me a lot with other things, to do with my like my blood family. I let go of some things and some bad feelings I was holding, and that would slow me down and hold me back. So yeah, it was that's where I've been. I'm laughing. I learned that this is my defense as well, laughing and smiling.
Just on the timeline, how recent was this that you went into rehab?
So I got out 3 weeks ago, I think.
That recent?
3 weeks ago, yeah. And if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't have wanted to talk about it this soon. I think maybe give it a little bit more time, but I am feeling in a really good place. I feel strong enough to do this. I think it's important. Maybe could have done with a little bit more time in terms of when I was talking about it, but unfortunately the way the world is now, the tabloids, they found out, and they was calling my team a lot, and they were telling, that they knew where I was and stuff, and the decision that I maybe made in the past, where I didn't really care about what people thought, and I didn't care about being understood. I would have just let them write what they wanted to write, and put their own story on, which they do a lot of the time, but it's not the reality. And also, I want to help other people to know that they're not alone in the feelings they've got, and that you can talk to people. It doesn't make you weak to get help, to be vulnerable. There's a lot of strength in that. So to come out and to share my story, I'm happy to do it.
So pretty much, he's ready, but he's not ready. But he made himself ready because the media knew where he was and they exposed it, is what he's saying.
And also,
Yeah, that sounds like what he's saying.
it sounds like it, and I don't blame him, because he could just be pressured because the media's talking about it. So maybe he's like, my best defense is to go and talk about it. Maybe he's not fully thinking that he's not ready. And even when he said right there, I don't think it's too soon. If I really care and I was the interviewer, this is the moment when you ask. If you want to, we could pause right here, and we'll continue this conversation another time.
I mean, that's not gonna
Yeah.
happen, dude. The snake is sitting right there.
The rat.
And even right now, hopefully he explains more as the time goes. But so far, I haven't really heard anything other than like, I've been in a better place, repeated over and over.
He'll explain it in a bit.
Okay, for sure.
You talked obviously about trauma, but you also talked about doing things that weren't helping you. Can you be more specific about what it actually is that he was doing that was obviously causing you a problem?
So it started, it's been going on for a long time. I think without me realising it, the things I was doing to numb the feelings I had. I didn't realise I was doing it for that purpose, whether it be drinking or whatever. I think they're things a lot of people do. But if you abuse it and use it in the wrong way, and you're not actually doing it for the pleasure, you're doing it to try and chase something or hide from something, it can obviously damage you a lot. So it started with that. And then I got addicted to sleeping tablets, and it's probably a problem that not only I have. I think it's something that's going around more than people realise.
In the game?
In football, yeah. I think it's something that maybe hopefully me coming out and speaking about it can help people, because don't get me wrong, they work. I think with our schedule, you have a game, you have to be up early in the morning to train, you got all the adrenaline and stuff, so sometimes it's just take a sleeping tablet to sleep and be ready for the next day, it's fine. But when your dopamine system and you're as broken as I am, it can obviously have the reverse effect, because it does work for the problems you want to deal with, and that is the problem. It works until it doesn't. So yeah, I definitely abused them too much. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I would stop sometimes and, you know, go a few months without them, but I was never really dealing with the problem. You know, it got really bad at some points, and I didn't understand how bad it was. But I was never dealing with the root of the problem. When I was growing up, the traumas I had, the feelings I was holding on to, and I tried to deal with it all by myself. I didn't want to tell anyone. There was a number of times my adopted family, my brother, it makes me sad. They would take me to rooms, cry, and ask me to just speak to them, tell them what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, and I just couldn't do it because I wanted to deal with it by myself. I didn't feel like opening up to anyone. I had a lot of people try to help me because they could see it in me. I wasn't who I was. I lost myself for a few years, and I was just turning everyone away, not accepting any help from anyone. I mean, when I have the family that saved my life crying, asking me to tell them what's wrong, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't.
Were they aware that you were on the sleeping pills?
So I think they'd heard a few times about them, but I'd swear on everything that I'd never taken them, or that I weren't taking them, which is a part of the problem. I didn't want help. I'd tell myself I wasn't an addict, I wasn't addicted to them, but I definitely was. I realised that going away and talking about it and understanding it more, I did need help, and it got to the time where I couldn't do it by myself anymore. And I think that's the thing people need to understand, that it is okay. I mean, we're definitely stronger as humans. We're stronger together. We don't have to deal with everything alone. I mean, the stuff you do deal with by yourself, but if it's having a negative impact on you and you feel like, okay, it's time, you can't do it by yourself anymore, it doesn't make you weak.
I think he's hitting like a really important subject at the moment. Like, if you need help, it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do it all on your own. In regards to football, right, he said that you're stronger when you're together, because in football, that's kind of what you need. You need a team to win or to create plays or make it beautiful. You all can't just do it on your own.
And to piggyback on that, same thing with life, man. Life is extremely difficult. Sometimes things just happen to you, and it's tough to deal with everything by yourself, When you need help, you just gotta learn, like he did, to ask for it and seek it out. Because a lot of the times, other people, I mean, friends, family, they have their own issues as well that they're dealing with, so they can't really always be there for you as well. So
I think he also rushed this interview because of unselfish reasons. How he wants to put this out so he can tell people it's okay to get help. It doesn't make you weak and stuff.
I agree with what Anthony's saying. I think he's also, since he's been on this kind of rut for a while and he is feeling good after getting help, he just want to put it out before maybe things start to set back and he feels shitty again.
This is just another big figure or role model that is speaking about mental health, because I feel like people don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, I think with celebrities, it's people always think everyone's okay because they're celebrities. And then what happens next? Oh, these people hospitalized, these people overdose. Just shows that addiction, mental health, depression, any of those things don't discriminate. Whether you're rich, poor, middle class, just happens that some have more resources to deal with it than others, but still happens to everyone.
On the sleeping pills, I mean, obviously when I was a player, sleeping pills are not unusual in football. You'd be off for one night before a game, always, because obviously a player might not sleep because of just, the build-up and the adrenaline, and also sometimes after a game. When you say it's more widespread in the game, are you talking about players taking them every night? Are you talking about players potentially multiple tablets at once? Are you talking about more than one tablet? What levels were you at with them? It's quite scary, isn't it, when you think...
No, it is scary. Now I'm out of it and I look back on it, before when I'd stop, I'd still kind of sometimes have the urge. But I, maintain sober for a period of time, and then there would always be a time when something would happen, I'd get the feelings back and I'd want to escape, because drugs, alcohol, all this stuff, they work for the time. So yeah, I was taking them. I was taking a lot. I mean, I don't want to talk about numbers, but it was definitely way too much. And there was some scary moments I had the team's given to you for a reason to sleep, and they do that. I wasn't taking them to sleep. I would take them throughout the day to just
escape. During the day?
During the day, sometimes from 11 a.m. if I got the day off. I would never take them if I'm playing, but I'd start early if I had the day off, and just to escape from the reality.
They're obviously a prescription drug,
yeah,
and you have to get them from somewhere. And I don't want to put you in a difficult position, but there will be a concern on a duty of care basis that you've been getting these pills and access to these pills from, obviously, the game, if you like. Can you just talk to me about that a little bit? Because I think it is something that people will ask.
What are you trying to do? Get him to rat on his doctor? Just kidding.
Because it's a prescription drug. How can you get them so easy? Which it's everywhere.
I started with a doctor. A doctor was giving them to me to sleep, and then it turns into more than that. I think when you want something, you'll find a way.
So you're getting them outside of the game then at that point?
Yeah.
But you were at the start getting them in the game?
Yeah.
In acceptable quantities, would you say?
Gary Neville's like, from who? Where'd you get it out in the street? From who?
Look at his face.
Look at Dele's face. He looks sussed out. He's like, oh, hell
He's
no.
like, dude, I'm gonna watch you another breakdown and you don't shut these questions down.
Dele's face in his brain, he's doing calculations and I'm like, oh shit. I remember what happened to CR7. I was kidding. I was kidding.
Freaking Ton.
Dele is like, I ain't no snitch.
You know what they say, snitches get stitches. Ain't trying to get stitches now.
At the start, yeah, for sure. Like, it was one to sleep. That was what it was.
Yeah.
And for most people, that's fine. You can handle that. That's all you need. But for me, it was fixing something else that I didn't know I could fix. And you hold on to that. People think football's, it's... Don't get me wrong. I love football. It's saved my life. I owe everything to football. But it's not just as easy as everyone thinks it is. It's not this high life. Like, you have money, you can do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do without it, but mentally, I don't think people will ever understand until you're in it, what it can do to you. Rejection, just being told you're not good enough, fighting every day. Even something like losing a game, it can affect you mentally. And you have to be ready, you have to be smiling the next day. And when you're not, it's a problem, so.
When did you start to get these feelings? How long ago was it? Obviously, you've been in rehab. When did it start to feel? Because obviously, I'm thinking going back to 2015-16 and then watching you in the World Cup in 18, one of the greatest young English talents that I've seen in a long time. What was the point where you started to feel that it wasn't right?
It's hard to pinpoint one exact moment. I mean, there was probably the saddest moment for me was when Mourinho was manager. I think I was 24. And I remember there was one session, like one morning I woke up, I had to go training. This is when he'd stopped playing me. And I was in a bad place, and I remember just looking in the mirror. I mean, it sounds dramatic, but I was literally staring in the mirror. And I was asking if I could retire now. At 24, doing the thing I love. For me, that was heartbreaking. To even have had that thought at 24 to want to retire.
So Mourinho is a problem.
That was another thing that I had to carry.
I mean, that's quite a long time ago, isn't it? It's like 3-4 years ago, and you've been carrying this. Obviously, you talked about the sleeping pills, but were you also drinking quite heavily as well in that period?
I mean, that period, I was partying a lot. I was having a lot of parties, because
it's been suggested that you were going off the rails, basically.
Yeah.
You've seen the tabloid headlines, haven't you, in that period?
Yeah.
That you were going out partying and obviously other things.
So does that mean Jack Grealish needs help?
Nah.
Yes, last season, he was partying a lot too, and he wasn't doing well.
Jack Grealish is known to be partying a lot and drinking a lot, aside from celebrating.
That's his personality then.
Just an alcoholic.
Still needs help,
reality,
but yeah.
What they say is not the reality. I think they was calling me a party boy and all this before, I was doing any of this. So I think people's perception of me was a lot different to the reality of what I was living. And then it got to a point where that happened and I was in a bad place. a lot of things have built up. I think, we all have emotions, and we think the best thing to do sometimes is to just stuff them down and hide them and lock them away. But over time, they just build up, and it gets to a point where we're human, and it breaks, and it all comes out. And I turn to all the wrong things. Like, I don't blame Mourinho. I don't blame anyone. My reaction to that wasn't right, but it wasn't something I had control over. It was my reality of when I was younger, the traumas I had, things I dealt with throughout my life, and it all just came out. And I'm grateful that it happened at that time, because it could have been a time when I didn't feel, and I couldn't find a purpose for myself. I couldn't remember the why I'd done it, why I'm here, why I'm doing this. So with football, and not just football, just being young, wanting to live the life that I want to live after this, and when it's done, when football's done, that gave me something extra to hold on to, and another reason why I need to stop. So I want to make it clear that I don't blame anyone for the way I feel. It's always been me against myself in everything. I think I've always been my own hero and my own biggest enemy. So it's getting to a time when I need to be more vulnerable, let people understand me. Because a lot of problems have come from me not opening up, not allowing people to come in. But that was how I felt safe. I think if you knew about my life, you would understand that a little bit more. I think I found that if you let people in, it's the way they can hurt you the most. So I definitely hid from it. I didn't allow anyone to do that. And it didn't work. I think we all hold on to not wanting to change because it's who we are. We'll lose our identity. But if you are working, then that's great. But it gets to a point sometimes where it's not working anymore. You need to change things. And that was the point I was at. This is another thing I'm scared of about talking about. I don't want people to feel like I want people to feel sorry for me. Trauma is trauma. And your body registers in the same way no matter what it is.
Here's someone who make you tell the truth. At least he's saying, I'm not blaming anyone, and he's not trying to say like it was because of football, because of that, because of this. He said, I realize it's just me, and even if it's pressure from football, newspapers, tabloids, whatever, he said, it's also hard for me to open up. I think that's where I was putting myself more at risk, not opening up or letting people in.
I feel like he's genuinely a good human being. Like, this guy blames nobody for what happened to him except himself.
And we're not saying like there's people out there who are not doing bad things too in sports or anything like that, but at least he's saying, I got myself into it, and it was up to me to decide how to move forward if I still love football and wanted to keep playing.
He would just try to figure it out, just like any young person would, living this life, having these opportunities, but then finding out that
Mourinho is benching you.
he has other demons, aka Mourinho, that he had to fight. Also, a lot of psychological and personal drama that he had to deal with before he can, I guess, keep going and playing the game that he loved, because it's scary, at least in my opinion, from what I'm hearing from Dele. You're doing something you love so much. This is your whole life. This is what you wanted to do. But one day you just wake up and you were like, man, should I retire? Should I do something else? Maybe this is not for me. Just having those feelings of doubt in yourself, even though you have technically made it and has been doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty dark place if you're 24 playing at the highest level, or right before that, and then retiring from football at 24.
I feel like Jose Mourinho is part of the problem. And you guys will find out why in the next part. Stay tuned.